FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
Michael Bekesha is our guest right now from Judicial Watch, which is the organization. You can go to judicialwatch.org and read more, but they are the organization that has really led the fight to get these emails released. Michael, how are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I appreciate the opportunity to ask you some questions about these latest revelations involving some of the Aberdeen emails revealing the Clinton State Department giving access to some of these Clinton Foundation donors.
Yeah, it's, astonishing what you learn when there's a little bit of transparency.
Well, what struck me as almost unbelievable yesterday was the news that the State Department was going to be forced to release an additional 15,000 emails that I think most people didn't presume we would ever know the contents of, and now that's going to be coming out shortly.
Yeah, yesterday in federal court, the State Department, informed the court that there are 15,000 emails that Hillary Clinton did not return to the State Department that the FBI was able to recover. So if you think back to last year, Hillary Clinton said she sent approximately 60,000 emails when she was Secretary of State. 30,000 of those she returned to the State Department because they were government business, and then she said 30,000 were personal, discussed her yoga routines and Chelsea's wedding. Well, now we know that of those 30,000, the FBI was able to recover about 15,000 of those. And so the State Department's going to process those, review those records, and produce them to Judicial Watch, hopefully in the near future. And the public will finally be able to see if those 15,000 emails really were just about Chelsea's wedding, what Hillary Clinton ate for breakfast and her yoga routines, or if they related to the State Department business. And based on the most recent emails we've received from Ms. Aberdeen, probably Clinton Foundation business as well.
Yeah, I suspect. And correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of these emails the FBI discovered, they probably found email strings attached to other people's emails, which is where a lot of this information is coming from on the Huma Abedin front, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. The FBI, we don't know the details on what the FBI did because the FBI doesn't like to be all that transparent. But we do know that Director Comey has said that some of the emails were recovered off the server, and then other of the emails, you're right, they went to other custodians, they went to other places, maybe the White House, other agencies, other employees at the State Department, and started looking for Hillary Clinton's emails in those other sources.
Wow. So among the most recent release that you guys have from Judicial Watch and Huma Abedin, what was the content of a lot of this interaction between Huma Abedin and these Clinton Foundation donors? Sure.
There's a lot of emails between Huma Abedin, who, just to remind everybody, is Hillary Clinton's closest personal advisor since the time she was First Lady. And when she was in the State Department, Huma Abedin was the Deputy Chief of Staff. And her emails, a lot of the emails we recently received out of the 725 pages are between Huma and Doug Band. And Doug Band was a senior advisor to President Clinton, who is also an executive at the Clinton Foundation. So he's the go-to person. He's the President Clinton's right-hand man when it came to the Clinton Foundation during that time. So there are a lot of emails between him and Huma Abedin talking about providing special access, special treatment at the State Department for what Doug likes to call our good friends, and primarily, large donors to the Clinton Foundation.
Absolutely. And an example of those people might be, I think there was an official from Bahrain.
Yeah, there was a crown prince who tried to go through official State Department channels to get a meeting with Secretary Clinton. He wasn't able to do so. So he called up his friend, Doug Band at the Clinton Foundation. And, you can imagine the call went something like, we donated $32 million to the Clinton Foundation. Can you help me get a meeting with Secretary Clinton? And Secretary Clinton, it looks like ended up having a meeting with him.
As I read through some of these that are on your website, there's an insinuation of pay to play which I understand. But some of these are things that even someone who doesn't care about that would think, that's just not fair. You're getting access that nobody else would get. There's an email here I'm looking from Tim Hoy at the Wasserman Media Group to asking for special treatment for an English football player who's having trouble at the U.S. Embassy in London.
Yeah, he wanted a visa, and he was having trouble getting it because he had there was a criminal charge in his background. And, they had already talked to Senator Boxer, and she said no. So then I guess they went to the State Department and was trying to get their help. Now, to be fair to the State Department, it doesn't seem as though Secretary Clinton helped this person out. However, just the ability to have the ask is rather significant.
Yeah, I would think so. Off of that issue for just a moment, you recently got a judge to rule that Secretary Clinton is going to have to answer some questions. Now, it's not the deposition, in-person deposition you were after, but it's still a big deal. What will you be looking for in the questions that you pose to the Secretary?
Sure. So we're allowed to ask 25 questions under the court rules of Mrs. Clinton, and she needs to answer those questions under oath. And so what our focus on is the creation and the operation, the creation and use of her email account. Why did she create the system? Why did she use it for State Department business? How did she continue using it during that term? She talks a lot about convenience. She's done that over the past year, but the records we've seen have shown it was anything but convenient. There were problems with the system. She wasn't receiving emails. She couldn't send them. Other people didn't have access to her schedules. So there were a lot of complications that happened, and so we want to know what the real reason is. I guess recently she's claimed that, Colin Powell suggested it.
Yes.
But, from everything I've seen, her conversation, if it even existed, which Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice don't remember this conversation. But to the extent the conversation did take place, it took place after she took office, which means it took place after she had created the ClintonEmail.com system and was already using this server to conduct government business.
We're talking to Michael Bekesha, who's a lawyer with Judicial Watch. Is it a little bit disappointing that you're not going to be able to ask her these questions in person? Because I almost envision a scenario here, knowing the Clinton lawyer-type answers that she tends to give, where she's got a chance to look at these in writing and respond in writing, and you're going to get 25 very lawyered-up answers.
It's not disappointing. I mean, all we've looked for is ways to learn the truth, to bring transparency, to bring light to the situation. This is a victory for the rule of law and for transparency. We will be the only organization out there that is going to ask her questions that she has to answer under oath about why the email system was set up. Congress didn't really do that during the Benghazi Select Committee hearing. She was not under oath when she testified to the FBI. Neither of those entities, focused on how the use of this system, harmed FOIA, harmed the public's right to know. So we're going to be the first ones that gets to ask these questions, and we'll get answers under oath. So this is a victory for the rule of law, and there really isn't any disappointment.
Well, keep up the good work. Michael Bekesha, direct people to the website judicialwatch.org. Now, obviously, what they do at Judicial Watch costs money. If you would like to donate to that cause, there's a button on there you can push to do so. And I appreciate your efforts, and thank you for being our guest.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Michael Bekesha there with Judicial Watch. Wow. You're getting this news straight from the source. You don't have to wait for the news media to filter it down for you. Michael Bekesha is the lead lawyer on this case. So what you're hearing there is directly from the source, and I appreciate the opportunity to get him on the air.